So I'm just coming today with a little bit, it's more like a Facebook Live video. It's just that I can't put those videos everywhere at the moment. So I thought I would do a recording and then come to you. A couple thoughts. One, energy precedes thought, which precedes everything else. And I keep reading these posts or these books or everything that talks about like thoughts become things. Sometimes thoughts become things, sometimes they don't. You know, I could want to be, I could want to be an airplane, but that's not going to become a thing. I'm not going to become it. That doesn't mean that like it's completely impossible to fly. I can find a way to fly, but not everything's going to happen. I could want to become 16 again. And I can have the energy possibly of that, but I'm never going to be that naive again. I'm never going to be a child of my parents again. I could want my dad to be alive and he's not. So thoughts can become things and sometimes they cannot. It's what we do with things. It's the choice. But before thought is energy. And it's interesting because I read another post today that our thoughts affect us and they also affect everyone else. True, and our energy affects us. Energy precedes thoughts, which precedes emotion. It's not even linear like that. Like there are times where like emotions give energy and so on. But how many times have you experienced an energy that comes about you? You have no idea what it is. And then you like play with it enough or get curious enough, and then you define it, and you usually make it yours. You make it solid and then like define it and say, it's this. When in fact, it may not have been that at all. It may have been totally somebody else's energy. It could have been the energy of invitation from the universe. It could have been something latent that's coming up from inside of you from the past. And the very thoughts define or confine it from what it truly is, and it boxes it in. I give you this because when we actually tap into energy and don't ask for definition of what they are, but rather ask what invitation they're bringing, it can become just about anything. What are they inviting you to? Just play with it a little bit. We're going to talk more about this. We're going to talk about the energy that precedes energy that precedes thought and emotion, the things that happen in the subconscious. But really, I'm meaning energy. I'm not meaning unconscious and subconscious thought. I'm actually meaning this force that is within us, our essence, and out of us, and that is connected, almost like a mother and the child, like through the umbilical cord. But for us, many times, because we've gotten so small in our essence, that umbilical cord is really small and tight. And what comes into it can either feel alerting, or it can be so much of a whisper that we're not sure what we're hearing, because the other stuff that's around it is so noisy, the thoughts, the emotions, and everything else. And when we move to have that mustard seed of our essence grow, our awareness gets louder and more clear. Our headspace gets more clear because it actually is filled with our light and with that symbiotic energy that's coming from the entire universe. We stop being so separate from everything that is, and we start becoming one with everything that is, and flowing with it rather than resisting that very essence that is the force and the flow that feeds us. So many times I find that we are fighting against the very thing that is our life force, the very thing that is our essence, the very thing that keeps us going. And all the work that I'm doing with you guys is so that you can be in flow, out of protection, and be in the truest form of awareness and creation and choice that's available to you. So just be careful. There's really beautiful things that come up in these memes, but not all of them are for the contribution of you. And it doesn't mean that they're wrong. It just means that they may only be part of the truth and a part of it. So many of you I've shared with you, like the beginning of my conscious journey into this healing modality was law of attraction. Law of attraction is truth, but it's only a fraction of the truth. It's only like 1% or 10% of everything that creates. And so if we only look at the law of attraction and expect the law of attraction to be the law, the only truth, we really miss so much of what is available to us. And it can give illusion or delusion to what's actually possible for us. But if we use it as part of the truth, that it is truth in its own essence, and yet it's part of a whole, we get to flow so much more. So thoughts do become things. That meme is completely correct. Do all thoughts become things? No. Would we like to choose what we would actually like to create? Would we like to look at what is impossible that can be possible when we have a universe and a God that would like to flow up through us? Yeah. Are others affected by our thoughts that become energy, and energy that becomes thought? For sure. And yet, can we get constricted by believing that everyone is affected by our thoughts? For sure. There's just something greater when we can get into the not controlling or the illusion of control, but getting into the space of truly flowing and being. You know, they talk about the fact that we only use 10% of our brain. I'm kind of okay with that. I would like to use 50 to 70 to 80 to 100% of my being. I think that could light up the world. And I invite you to that too. Because when we come from our essence, the stuff that we attract in life, the people that we attract, and the way that we move is just mind-blowing, awe-inspiring. So I look forward to Wednesday when we have a call for the people who are carrying on with the certification and creating the life of your design. And for everybody else, this is just a video because I was prompted to make it. Love you all. Bye.